Car chases, crazy action, romance. Here's my review of Weekend in Taipei. DEA agent John Lawler, played by Luke Evans, after a bloody drug bust goes wrong. He goes wrong and he books a flight to Taipei to catch a wealthy businessman, Huang, played by Sung Kang. Huang runs a successful import-export business, but really is just a cover for his thriving drug activities. 15 years earlier, Zhong worked an undercover gig in Taiwan and had a brief affair with Joey, played by Gwei Lun-mei, who was a driver for upstart criminal Huang at the time. But once John is in Taiwan, fast forward 15 years later, he finds out that Joey has a 13-year-old son and Joey is married to this wealthy businessman, Huang. Huang blames John, Joey, and his 13-year-old stepson for information leaking to the media about his business operations, and now John, Joey, and the son are on the run. Weekend in Taipei is directed by George Huang, who has had a bit of an interesting career. He directed some comedies in the 90s, such as Swimming with Sharks and Trojan War in 1997, but he hasn't directed a film since How to Make a Monster in 2001. So this sort of action thriller is not really his expertise, but this film is quite laced with a lot of humor, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, and nor should we as a viewer. This film is produced by Luc Besson, who sometimes writes the script or sometimes he just writes the story on the films that he doesn't direct. Films such as the Transporter series, Danny the Dog, and Taken. Weekend in Taipei is very much in the same vein as those films. It has crazy action, unbelievable scenarios, and it has actors playing roles they usually haven't done in the past. Luke Evans rarely gets to have a lead role in a film these days. He's usually relegated to supporting roles in big action franchises like Fast and the Furious. Gwei Lun-mei, she's also quite new to this type of action thriller. She's most notably known for films such as Black Coal, Thin Ice and Wild Goose Lake, two films that I would highly recommend checking out if you're into Chinese slow burn noir. And Sung Kang, most famous for playing a nice guy in the Fast and Furious franchise. He really relishes his chance in this film to play the wealthy businessman Huang. Weekend in Taipei is a pretty fun flick if you don't take it too seriously and if you don't think about the overcomplicated story too much. There's a few well-staged action scenes, one in a restaurant kitchen and one in a hotel. And the film teases us with maybe we'll get like a Ferrari car chase in the streets of Taipei, but actually all we get is just a buggy chase in the mountains in a small fishing village. The film unfortunately loses momentum in the second half of the film. Once John, Joey, and the son are on the run, there's no action. It's just them trying to hide, and we get backstory and flashbacks and like corny cultural differences between Americans and people in Taiwan. It's unfortunately there's not much action in the second half of the film. This 45-minute stretch of the film before the finale really sinks the film from what could have been a good film to just another forgettable action thriller. I give Weekend in Taipei 2.5 stars out of 5. Yes, it does lose momentum in the second half of the film, but it's still a pretty fun flick, and it could do much worse than Weekend in Taipei. Thanks for watching. Did you see Weekend in Taipei? What did you think of the film? Please subscribe to my channel and like the video. See you next time. Bye.